Hello YouTube fans, here again, and I figure why not this one, Tastic by Wes Craven, and you could also say it was the film that brought back the slasher films. That's right, the film that brought back the slasher films. I think of slashers, I think of Nightmare on Elm Street, I think of The Burning, I definitely think of all the Friday the 13th, and what else do I think of? Well, to said it, Halloween, The Burning, sort of hard. The list goes on. The list goes on when it comes to slasher films. But as we all know, when it got to the early 90s, slasher became a dinosaur, became extinct. Because what it was, right through the 70s, right through the early 80s, all the way up, they made that many. I say that again. They made that many. People just got sick of it. They got bored of them. So a lot of people always said, "Oh, it was because of April Fool's Day." No, it was not. The truth of the matter is, they made that fucking many. People just got sick of them. So early 90s, the slasher went bye bye, and so on. And Wes Craven already did his slasher. That would have been A Nightmare on Elm Street, and the film I'm on about is Steam. That's why it's Steam. Now, Drew Barrymore was already made herself a comeback in the 90s with films, let's say, like Double Tand or Poison Ivy and so on. And the thing is with this film is very deceiving. It's deceiving because all the way through the film you think Drew Barrymore's going to be the star of the film. And yes, he's in the film for one little bit. One little bit. And I do remember there was a poster where he had a spike there and in a mouth, and they altered that with that. And again, everyone see her face, you think she was going to be the star of the film. And I love the way he did that, West Dave, because just like Elm Street, he manipulated the audience in thinking that the first is going to be the main character. So it starts off. You got Drew Barrymore, she gets a phone call, and at first you think it's someone messing about, don't know what her favourite horror film is, and blah blah blah. And it turns out she's got a boyfriend tied up, and this is where you see Joel's face for the first ever time. And at the time, people did not want the mask, but when people got to see it, they went with it, and I can see why. It's a done. So Joel's face is fucking with her, not in a sexual way. And he's told her who was the first killer in Friday the 13th. And she makes the mistake. She says it's Jason. Now, anyone who's ever saw the original Friday the 13th would automatically know straight away Jason didn't come into that one. So because of that, it also is the death of a boyfriend. Now, I do know the days of laser discs. You would have had to look to seeing it uncut because typical MPA, it was really gory for that era. They cut it down where it had half his ducts ripped out and everything. I don't think now you can see it uncut, but at the time that was trimmed down. She tries to make a run for it, and Dole's face gets and then kills her, which I imagine for that era that would have been a shock of the moment because you would have thought Drew Barrymore was going to be the main character. She gets killed. Then you got the Dewis, the main character, who's appeared in a lot of the sequels, and a lot of the others start to team up. You get one who I remember in my favourite series being Tam, very attractive Dewey in that era, and so on. And like I say, it's a who's done it, and the killer's killing people one by one. And I do like the fact you got Harry Winkler, hey, the Fonzie self. That really cheesy, Harry Winkler. I know we all get old. Old age is suck. It's very uncool. He's a lot older, and you can see he's starting to get out of the being typecasted as the Fonz, Mr. Cool himself. So they have him as his strict headmaster, really strict. And I do actually like the fact you have love letters of Nightmare on Elm Street in this. Like, there's a scene in it where you got one actor who plays a copper. If you ever seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street, same actor played a copper in that. It's the one where, if you remember the scene when Nancy says, "You go get my dad, you arsehole," it's the same actor. If you ever seen that Nightmare on Elm Street. And there's a bit where Harry Winkley walks to the door and you see a guy dressed up the same costume as Fedder, you know, the red and jean Fedder, because I pronounced it right. And the hat, what Freddy were, he's dressed up looking like Freddy fucking Krueger, a tear-tater. Figure that one out. So I do that. I like the way that Wes Craven sort of stuffed a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street in your face. You got one guy who got the idea you fancy Jamie Lee Curtis, and there's a bit where they're in this house and they're watching the original, say it again, the original Halloween. I like that idea. I did like that touch. So all the way through it, you got the killer killing people one by one. One death scene I do remember though is the one where you got the door. I remember in Tam. And originally that death's going to be a lot more violent, but they timmed it down. So instead, it's the killer's trying to attack her. She goes under this thing, where the dogs go through. And it has a thing in it, where you open the cars and the thing's open. She gets stuck in it and it whacks her and snaps her neck, which is that I've seen the same, that I'd already seen the same. I say you get a few to do some deaths, not as memorable as some of the older slasher films, but still get some good deaths. I say Harry Winkler gets stabbed, and you got the idea he's going to die, which it's always seen him die, and Ghostface is stood over him. And no one's ever seen Steam. Come on, Steam. There've been sequels. Of course, we had the comedy version of Steam, that being Scary Movie, and so on. So you find out who the killer is, and the killer is the girl's boyfriend, the main character. You got one reporter who you really do hate, but as the film goes on, you get to like her, and you find out it's a boyfriend, and if that's an exorcist, the boyfriend's got a buffer. Now this actor, I can take him or leave him, but it's character. I'm not about the person in your life. I'm on about the character. Has to be the most fucking annoying character ever. I'll swear again, he's one of the most annoying characters. Because he's just a poor man version of Tim Terror. And you don't know what I think of Tim Terror. Hey man. Tries to be funny. As funny as a fart in the wind. As funny as me having diarrhea. Seriously. Hey, yeah. Hey, it's the Millennium. He's fucking annoying. I mean, he is so fucking annoying. But like I said, there's a bit where the face stab one another and they're both bleeding. Somebody sees to fight, and yeah, there's a funny bit where the TV falls on his head. Don't forget, it's a 96 film. You have LCD or Lightning TVs. You have the big box ones. And yeah, he's got a tuss and Jamie Lee Curtis. You get it. A scene in Halloween, the bit where I think Jamie Lee Curtis is hiding in the cupboard, the bit where Michael Mathers is trying to get her. It's that scene and Jamie Lee Curtis falls on him. You get it. It kills him. Then he's got the father after bonking the daughter. He's tied up, and the thing like she gets it done, shoots him a couple of times, and then other people come in, and he jumps up and she shoots him again. Says that always happens at the end of a film, because it does. You obviously see a slasher film or horror film. You don't see the villain always jumps up, a typical jump scare. So she gets a lucky hit, shoots him there, and end of movie. But what can I say about Steam? You know what I mean? It made a sequel, made that. It made so fucking many now. It's unbelievable. You had the comedy, which does made its own series, being Scary Movie, which kind of ripped off Steam in certain senses. And it also brought back the slasher film. Same there, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer. One there after, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. You had all these other slasher films that started to make a comeback. And it's thanks to Wes Craven, he sort of got back the slasher element. I do like the Love Letter to Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a few little tropes here and there if you watch it proper. Where he has one actor that was in Elm Street, but he had another one. You had the Terminator, dressed up looking like Fedder. I get it. So yeah, he brought back a new horror icon. That being Ghostface. Everybody knows what he looks like. You can go to a Halloween party and you see somebody with a mask on, really cheaper looking, trying to see someone test up his Ghostface or whatever. But yeah, Steam, the original one, I didn't mind it for what it was. I know one of my mates is a big fan of it. To me now, I think they made too many like they normally do, but the original one, I didn't mind it for what it was. And like I say, it brought back the slasher element. So for that, an 8-star rating for me. But to them, be smart, be safe. See you later.